Advisory Committee. First item on the agenda, we have a quorum, we're all here. No, we have one missing, but we have a quorum, so we can continue. Approval of the minutes of the Road Advisory Committee meeting of December 10th. You all got them, I got them, I think you all did. Any changes, any corrections, any comments on the minutes?
There's one omission on item 5 for the final vote. It just has the word motion. I presume motion passed with 7-0 for item 5.
Okay. All right, then need a motion to approve them as amended.
So with that correction, I make a
With that
motion
correction,
to
yeah.
accept it.
Okay. Moved and seconded?
Second it.
Seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, first item on the agenda then, first of all, I want to wish everybody Happy New Year. First meeting of the year. Thanks, thank you all. Happy New Year, everybody. The first is Greg Black, the Deer Management website.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Greg Black. I'm one of the operations managers in our Cable and Community Relations Department. And one of the things that we do is the day-to-day maintenance of the Township website. We're joined today by our digital content coordinator, Amy McCaig, who's the one in there doing a lot of the day-to-day management as well. But we were asked to prepare a resource page related to this ongoing issue with the deer, and I was just asked to kind of show an overview of what we've come up with. And I think many of you may be seeing this for the first time, so if not today, certainly down the road, welcome to feedback, questions, or comments you have. Just real quick, it begins with a very brief overview, and we really want to stress up front that residents are asked not to feed the deer in accordance with state law. The first big piece of information you'll see is Chad Stewart from the DNR presented to the Board of Trustees on September 8th. It's quite a lengthy presentation, covers a lot of options, and that's what we lead off with up front, as well as links to a couple of resources from the DNR as well, or State of Michigan, including their own deer management initiative, the definitions of baiting and feeding, and just the State of Michigan feeding definitions. If you guys would like me to go into detail on any of these after the fact, that's okay. We also have updates from this committee, the work you guys have been doing. Most recently, we have the meeting of November 12th, and then we have links to each individual meeting. And if you were to click these, it would take you to the point in the meeting where the discussion on deer starts. Additionally, we have some police data. Nick Soley, who spoke to you at a previous meeting. This is a report he created that has some of the statistics related to calls for service related to deer, as well as a graph chart on the 5-year car versus deer crash data that you can kind of dig into, as well as a crash map. And then additionally, we have a link to Michigan State University that has a resource guide for I've learned in researching some of the stuff that there is no real deer-proof plant you can list, but this is some of the stuff that kind of deters deer. They don't like to eat as much. And then finally, we have a frequently asked questions section down here that you can go through. Notably, Amy prepared a flyer that we can use that lists a little bit more detail, a little more eye-catching about some of the reasons to not feed deer, besides the fact that it is illegal. Some of the other in terms of attracting other predators or disrupting natural behavior, things like that. So I did want to keep it brief, but I'm happy to expand anywhere people would like. If you have any immediate feedback or questions, please let me know.
Greg, is this live online now?
So you could find it. It's not what we call navigation. So this will be under the Living in Bloomfield section of the website. So if you were to hover over here, you will not see it at this time. But I think as long as there's no major issues at this moment, it will be ready to go into navigation.
Okay. Thank you.
Right away. Yes.
Is it hallucinatory to think we would integrate some of this knowledge into the schools?
I don't know that that's an answer I have for you right now.
Because I'm thinking, looking at what the solutions to all this are, we're not going to go in and eliminate all the deer. So that really the thing is not to feed the deer. We have to address things that we can do something about without causing too much angst, and making sure that people understand, yeah, it may say it's illegal, but yeah, it really is illegal to feed the deer. There's a lot of problems and a lot of issues with feeding the deer, and you shouldn't do that. And if you do it, you're going to have a problem with something that you really don't want to have a problem with. But in the schools, like I don't know, like 8th grade, 6th grade, I don't know, whatever grade it would be, you have to speak with them. But maybe they should address, you know, do you have deer around your house? Do you do this? Do you do that? I mean, they do it with other subjects, so I don't, this, you might be smart to like have them integrate something into their, like, I'm not saying take up the whole semester, but.
Sure. I mean, I could certainly reach out to our.
And using this as a, like a background to what you want them to do, but that would be something that you could do.
I could reach out to our contact at the superintendent's office and see
If you
they
think it's a
are
good
aware of
idea,
what might already be being
I don't
done.
know if the panel thinks it's a good idea, but I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Is there, I'm sorry, you were gonna go, you go ahead.
Well, assuming we accept a mission statement today, would it help to put that in there
Yeah.
someplace?
Yeah, we would absolutely put that down here as a lead-in to the updates from the advisory committee.
And then finally, there was, when we had the presentation in November, the police officer had just made contact with the road commission and asked for signs.
Signs, right.
Have we, it's only been 45 days and, you know, there's been a lot of holiday in between. But do we know, have we heard about that?
I'm willing to speak on that briefly.
Oh.
I did follow up with the road commission very shortly. I don't have a time frame for you, but we were approved and on the list to start with those signs up and down Franklin Road between Maple and Long Lake. We're
Great.
exploring other, again, this isn't the end all, we're exploring other places, and we understand that this is an educational purpose, sign only, the deer aren't gonna know to cross there, but to hopefully give some attention to our drivers to just slow down. But we are on the list to receive those. I would guess that other people are on lists. It takes time and thawed ground to get those signs in. But we are on the list and have been approved.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Just a, is there, I didn't notice that you went through it pretty quick, which is fine.
Okay.
But was there anything in there that says contact us, or or leave comment, or ask questions, or have someone get back to somebody?
So the only place we have phone numbers typically listed is related to, our FAQs were built out of a lot of the questions that both the PD and then Sue were receiving as well. So we have the animal welfare line listed frequently in terms of if
okay.
you see an injured deer or you see a deer in your yard, you don't know what to do. In terms of just a general contact line for general questions, that's likely something we could set up as well.
Well, I think it could be good to have people know that they can give input or contact, ask questions, or something through the website.
Yeah, we also can put an email or some sort of contact form
Okay,
at the bottom.
that'd be
that gets
great.
Bounced back. Okay.
Okay, thank
We'll
you.
do that, yep.
Yes.
Yes, so I agree with you 100%. I would recommend that until we have our, mission statement finalized, that it not be live. I mean, there's so much controversy over what we're doing and what the outcome could be in Bloomfield Village in particular, that I think it should be pretty solid before we put it up. And having a contact has to happen, for
I
sure.
think what on our agenda is to look at that and to
Yeah.
approve it today.
Yeah, no,
so we
I
could
know,
do it.
I understand.
Yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't do it until it's,
Right.
otherwise it's going to create more controversy.
Yeah.
Then be viewed as a solution.
Greg, thank you for the these reports and stuff. I just missed it. There was a one report I'm looking at. I'm not finding where the people, the opposite group that didn't want deer culling. They had a report. Do you happen to have that?
That's not a report that I have, no.
Okay, maybe that should be included. I guess. It was very interesting the way the opposite side took, how to manage deer in their mind. Maybe we can, Susan can offer.
Sue, okay.
Well, that probably could be under where it says the committee, updates from the committee, if that's part of it. Do you think?
Yeah, we did get that report as
Yeah.
part of the committee
Right.
information, right?
Yes.
All right. Anybody? Anything else? Okay. Thanks. Thank you very
Jeff?
much. Oh, I'm sorry.
From the floor.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't. I'm looking this way and I'm not looking there.
No, I'm just thinking that there are also some health issues that go along with the deer. We have ticks, we have Lyme disease, and my dog got worms from eating the deer food. I hate to say that, but, and my dogs have never had that before, and it all came from deer.
All right. So what should we do? Should we ask to put that report, number one, on the website? And also, some of that health concerns, by the way, is in this, that we're gonna hear today. So I think this will probably be linked on there and put people here, but, so I think that's fine, but the report, I think, should be in there, that's true, somehow. I don't know how to do it, I don't know where to put it, or how to do it, but it should be in there.
I think Susan sent it to us, so I'm
I
sure.
have it, we'll get it taken care of.
Okay, good.
Yeah, okay. If anybody has future questions or anything else comes to mind, feel free to call, email.
Thank you.
Whatever works for you, yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks very
Thank
much. That looks great, that's really slick. That's good.
Yeah, let me see if I have one. Thanks.
All right, next on the agenda is a presentation, Mr. Farmer, from Farmington Hills. Going to talk about what they've done and what they've accomplished and see what we can garner from that.
All right. So we've done quite a bit. I'll give a brief history of sort of where we started in Farmington Hills. In 2014, sort of like a lot of other communities, we started getting phone calls from residents saying, yep, we have too many deer, what are you gonna do? And so we reached out to the DNR and said, what do we do? And they said to start collecting some data. So how many deer vehicle collisions? They asked us to do a community deer survey. We did some other things like aerial deer counts. So we really started back in 2014 and fast forwarded to now. This is our first year. This year we'll be managing deer via a call. And I've learned a lot in the last 11 years. I was placed on the Deer Management Initiative for the state, where there's 24 people in the Lower Peninsula, 24 people in the Upper Peninsula to come up with new ideas for the state to manage deer. And now that was part of the Natural Resources and Tours, or Natural Resources Commission, who makes all the decisions for wildlife in the state of Michigan. So that DMI was part of that. Now that's become the DAT, the Deer Advisory Team. So now I'm on the DAT team. So outside of my role in the city of Farmington Hills, we created the Southeast Michigan Urban Deer Coalition. So I'm the chair of that. So there's somebody from your community should be on that coalition.
I was,
Are you on it?
yeah.
Okay. So there's a representative from most communities in the SEMCOG area, 7 counties that have deer issues are part of that coalition. And our goal is to really bring this collective information together. Like your website looks awesome. So how do we create these best practices to be able to not duplicate like reinvent the wheel? Let's create best practices. So coalition helps share that kind of stuff. So I'm going to jump in the presentation here. So in 2015, we began doing the research and data collection, working with the DNR. And right away I thought, why is it a city-by-city approach? Like they're saying, okay, you got to figure out, you got to hire a biologist, you got to figure out what you're going to do about deer. And I thought, well, you're saying this to every city that's going to have a problem? Like, why don't you tell us what we need to do? And it was very frustrating. So immediately I told them, like, why don't we come up with a regional group to be able to, let's come up, like Oakland County, let's work as a region versus a city-by-city approach. So they liked that idea. So in 2021, we put together the coalition, and now we've got over about 40 communities now that are part of the coalition. And in 2024, we started working with the University of Michigan. So we have a professor and 6 master's students that have put together some templates, including a resolution, a statewide urban deer management plan, information, for example, like if a property owner they call you about deer problems, right? They're saying, I got too many deer, what are you going to do about them? Well, we now have a form on our, that property owner can say, okay, I would like you to come help me. If I can use my property in any way, I want you to use my property. So we're creating resources to be able, so communities like yours can use as we develop these templates. So that's began in 2024. And in sort of continuing on with that, in 2025, in the Lower Peninsula Deer Advisory Team, that coalition now is part of the DAT, so we've incorporated ourselves in a larger statewide plan. So what's happening in Southeast Michigan is going to be part of the larger statewide plan. So part of the process of deer management is educating the public. So what our council has faced is, and every community is going to face, is how do you manage the deer, the number of deer? And it starts with educating the public about deer. So how do you educate the public? So there's projects that you can do with we have a nature center, so we talk about deer through nature center programs. We have publications that we put out. We have the website that we educate people about. We talk about in on our roads, deer crossing signs. We have presentations that we do during a variety of different functions that we talk about deer. So the idea is you want to be able to let people know that you're aware of the deer as a community, and here's some information that they might need to know about deer as well. So why do you manage deer and why do you not manage deer? So you manage deer due to safety reasons, nature, and cost. So if you don't manage deer, basically we've got deer vehicle collisions, and our collisions in Farmington Hills have increased. They've continued to go up and up and up and up. So if it would only make sense to say, okay, if you were to reduce the deer populations, they're going to start to drop. So that's what we found in our research. When communities start to do deer management and reduce the population through a call and or hunting, that the deer vehicle collisions drop. Same thing with the concerns about Lyme disease, and obviously those cases could drop as well. Nature, the major thing that why deer need to be managed, get away from deer vehicle collisions and any kind of cost, is the environmental impact of what the impacts that deer are having on the landscape. So if you look at parks and you talk about browse lines, you see there's nothing for the deer to eat in certain park areas because they've eaten everything they can. So then they go to the neighbors and they start eating the hospices because there's no food available for them. So a big component of why you need to manage deer is because you need to be able to take care of nature, keep the ecosystem strong with the birds, the bees. If you start to get rid of those pollinators and those, the plant life, you're affecting me by your cough. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm all choked up listening to this.
Got me off my game.
It'll drain down pretty fast.
Anyways, so the other is cost. So a lot of our residents get phone calls about and you guys are getting the same calls about how much landscape damage and what are you going to do about that. If you look at add up the total number of deer vehicle collisions that occur in your city, and you multiply that by $4,000 in insurance costs. So if it was 400,000. If you dropped it down to, if you can reduce that down to 50, 200,000. Look at it the same way as your landscape. So if you can just get that reduced, you're not going to solve the problem, but if you can start to reduce that problem is the goal. And I think that's what our residents want to hear is what are you going to do to help solve the problem? You can't solve it. You're going to help reduce the problem and do the best you can do. Or you can sit back and do nothing. And that's what a lot of communities right now are I won't say you're not doing anything. We're not managing deer. We're starting to make efforts towards managing deer. But the direction that the state is going now is that with the first regional call taking place between Farmington Hills, and Southfield, that's our first step to say, okay, now we're actually managing deer and we're doing something about it. There's going to be some potential drops in deer vehicle collisions and other impacts because of the reduction of the deer population. So ultimately, with that reduction in deer population and the regional approach, the more communities that start to do the same thing, because the the deer do not have boundaries, the more we're gonna be able to reduce those deer impacts. And that's what's happened across the state in agricultural areas when it comes to farms and trying to get, reduce the population there because of the crop damage that's occurring. So our role as city leaders is we are responsible for making that decision. We can sit back and do nothing, which is okay. But we're gonna continue to have these impacts. So, as you know, the deer vehicle collisions in Oakland County are they're now the second highest. Kent County's the highest across the state. And then here's some of the trends in terms of the deer vehicle collisions continue to go up. You can see on the chart there. So here's the locations in Farmington Hills where deer have been hit. So it's really not one concentrated area, and you can't put signs everywhere that a deer has been hit. So what we do is we put a sign out every 3 years, review if there's a multiple number of accidents that occur in that one area, we put up a sign. And DPW and PD know they're different. There's different standards through SEMCOG that when a sign is put up for deer crossing, it isn't just a random, let's put a sign up because the guys just hit a deer there and they're not happy and they want to put a sign up. There's standards in place, so you can seek counsel for your through your DPW and PD and how they do that. So in our community and across Southeast Michigan, over 70% across Southeast Michigan are concerned about deer. And they're saying we need to do something about the deer. And the reasons why are mainly the landscape, the driving, the cost of having to worry about the ticks. You mentioned your pet. My dog died of Lyme disease, so it hit close to home for me. And I've had phone calls from a lot of people. Their spouses have gotten Lyme disease, and so then they call and they want to blame somebody. And but I feel good that Farmington is actually doing something about it now. But we can't stop Lyme disease, but at least we're making some type of effort towards hopefully reducing the opportunity to get it. So here's the major concerns: deer vehicle collisions when we survey the people. Tick and tick-borne illnesses is what people are concerned about, damage to landscaping, and then damage to ecosystems and native species. So we've put together an ecological management plan to be able to help monitor the damage that occurs within our parks. So you can see when I started to mention earlier, the loss of saplings and seedlings and the browse line. So you can see on the left side, there's you can see some plant life there, and then on the other side you don't. So there's studies that we've done, and you can see long term that if you put an exclosure up, you will see growth on one side where the deer can't get to, and on the other side you're going to see no growth because the deer are getting to it. So overall, and I'm not a biologist and I can't preach it good enough, but the overall reason why to manage deer is because of the ecological impacts. And it leads to stormwater runoff, it leads to all the other species that it affects. The deer are the super contributors of the impacts of what's happening in the environment. So the way to manage deer is through organized archery hunts and calls. The way some communities have done it here in Clinton Metro Parks, Oakland County Parks, East Lansing, City of Jackson, they've all done some type of management, and it's worked. So here's some examples of a decline in when management occurred. So you can see the hunts that took place, and then the deer vehicle collisions on the right, and you can see as time went on, they've reduced those deer vehicle collisions, and that's the overall goal. This is a study that really is the overall goal in the end with deer management is how do you get that deer population down to a more manageable number that doesn't eradicate the population. People like seeing deer, but keep it where you still have a food source for the deer, and they can eat nature versus hospices, and the environment starts to come back. So Meridian Township in the state of Michigan has done a good job with their deer management program, where they allow an organized hunt and call to be able to reach that harvest goal. And then in the end, they're starting to see trillium and other native species come back in their parks, because they've done a good job with balancing that. So you can see over time, the goal with every community, I would say if I would to draw the map, it would be, you've got sharpshooting and organized hunts. Organized hunts would be, you might allow somebody, I'm gonna take 3 people out on 3 spots in your community, and they're gonna be able to get 5 deer each. They can draw a tag. They have to be pass a shooting proficiency test. They have to have years of experience. And if they pass all that and they happen to get lucky and draw that tag, then they can pay a license fee for $200, and they get to go hunt 4 times. And hey, they just each took 5 deer. They took 15 deer out. Well, we still need to take 100 deer. And your goal is 115 deer, so those hunters took 15. Your sharpshooters coming in, they take 100, so equaling 115 deer. So over time, you start to say, okay, these hunters, hey, it worked pretty well. We can add a few more hunters. It's only 4 days a year that they do this. Over time, they take 50 deer, 60 deer, 70 deer, and then eventually you don't need sharpshooting anymore. And then the hunters make it self-sustainable, where the community doesn't have to keep paying a lot of money for sharpshooting, and it ultimately educates the public more, because they realize that the reason why we have a deer problem is because we no longer hunt the deer. Before we created ordinances against deer hunting, that's how it was managed. And as we grew up our cities, we stopped allowing that to happen. So then now there was no predators, no people to reduce the population. And a lot of cities, as they've seen that occur, it was when you created ordinances is when the deer population started to increase. So the new way of hunting in urban areas is becoming more of an organized approach, versus it's a season to be able to allow people to go out on a property and hunt. It's going to be somebody walking them out to that property and saying, okay, you can hunt from this time to this time, and I'm going to come pick you up, help you get your deer, and bring them back. So it's a lot different than what you've seen in the past in terms of hunting.
And hunters pay to do that?
Hunters pay to
And
do
they're
that.
not being paid by anybody?
No,
like
they
the
will,
sharpshooters?
they pay to participate.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's revenue.
So
whether they
ultimately,
use a
the
gun or archery is the same?
archery, it would be archery. So ultimately, the idea is for it to be self-sustainable, where it costs you to have sharpshooters and run the deer management program, but these hunters start to pay for that. So then over time, you even it's cost neutral. And you can invest that money back into the deer management program, roadside signs, that kind of thing. So the same thing is, we're working on the state level of a statewide urban deer management draw. So let's say, for example, Bloomfield Township offers 3 spots that you're going to allow a hunt to take place. And with that, this is all hypothetical, it's being worked on right now. But there's an elk draw. So there's an elk herd in the state of Michigan that people basically buy a raffle ticket. And then from those raffle tickets, so many people are selected, and then they buy the elk license. So the money from that is generated. So the same concept could be an urban deer management draw, where people do the same kind of thing, and then that money goes back to the communities to be able to help manage the deer. So that's the effort that the DAT team, we have a subcommittee working on that, and I'm leading that effort. So when and where they take place, I'm not going to get into detail on, but basically, the question always comes down to, is it safe? So what we're doing in Farmington Hills is we're starting with Public Safety Officer in 2027 to do this organized hunt process to say, hey, it worked. in the end, they're gonna say that it was successful, it worked. The next thing is gonna be, okay, now we're gonna allow a couple of general public and we're gonna do this draw idea. Hey, it worked. It's gonna expand and continue to get, more and more, and then we'll be able to achieve that effort to be able to gain more revenue, to be able to pay for the sharpshooting costs. So across Michigan, this is Michigan attitudes towards hunting. Believe it or not, 90% of the people are okay with hunting. 10% are not okay with it. And the reason why they're okay with it is for food, to maintain wildlife populations, to protect property, and protect people from harm, and for recreation and so on. So ultimately, when you hear some of those voices, one of the committee members were mentioned earlier, the people against hunting, there's people against, and that's what a lot of cities they face, and they talk about sterilization, and why don't we sterilize the deer, and isn't that a way of effective means? One, it's costly. Two, in free-ranging deer, it isn't effective, based on studies. So you have to get a large population of deer, and the DNR will tell you this, biologists will tell you this, over 90% of that deer population will need to be sterilized to be able to be effective. So the cost of that, plus trying to make that happen, is very difficult to have happen. Sterilizing deer in fenced-in areas can work in a controlled population, and not in a free-ranging population. So food donations, one deer can feed, it's 40 to 50 pounds, 4 servings, and that would equal 160 to 200 meals. So in Farmington Hills, between Farmington and Farmington Hills, the deer are gonna go to our local food bank, from the call that we do. I'm not gonna go through this. This is the whole process to, how to do the whole step-by-step process with the call. You guys aren't there yet. This is the regional approach. So we started working with Southfield. That was before the Southeast Michigan Urban Deer Coalition took place. And this is an example of a aerial image of about 1,500 deer across Southfield and Farmington Hills. So if you think about Bloomfield Township isn't far from Farmington Hills. We're all one big area. The deer are traveling all over the place. So as we work together and work consistently and have standards that we don't come up with our own, obviously you're going to come up with some good ideas and we're all going to steal them. The idea is we are coming up with a plan that it makes it easier for everybody in the end. So when we push this idea of a regional approach to manage deer, the goal is to try to help other communities like yours to make it not so hard when you decide to manage deer. So it's really trying to make that effort together. But there's a lot of deer, and based on the corridors in your community and how the deer travel, you'll see this similar kind of thing in your mapping if you were to do an aerial. I'm going to skip to this last part here. So the way that, and again, I don't know what stage you're in, but we've put together a plan through the University of Michigan, and Susan, I'm not sure if you're attending those coalition meetings, but on January 29th, they're going to be presenting a draft plan that is going to help every community understand more about the phases of where you are and what you might need to be doing now, and then the next phase, the next phase, the next phase. And then there's resources that go along with that. There's templates, and one of those templates, for example, is the resolution. So this resolution that we put together for the city of Farmington Hills and Farmington it basically says, we're going to manage deer. We're going to put it in our master plan. It's not gonna go back to the city to vote on it again. It's gonna be part of the staff responsibilities. It's going to have, the ordinance of our, firearm ordinances are gonna be lifted during the times of organized hunts and calls. So there's a few items on here that are specific that can be used across the board with other communities, and you don't have to come up with your own separate resolution. It's basically gonna be a template that allows you just to tweak and not have to write up your own, you know, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So questions, I'm sorry, I was all over the place there, but,
I just want a clarification, if you
Yep.
can. Early on, very in the beginning, what you said, I hope I got this right, you said you'll never eliminate the deer problem, you can only reduce it.
Yeah.
So does that mean what you're saying is that if there's one deer, there's a problem? Or is you saying you never reach a level where there won't be, that's an acceptable level? How do you define a deer problem?
I guess here's an example of like, maybe to back that up. You might have, let's say you have 10 deer in the community, just 10 deer. And those 10 deer are in your yard and they're eating all your hospices. Nobody else's hospices. You have a problem. The neighbors don't have a problem. So you're not gonna fix everybody, it's not gonna satisfy everybody because the deer are gonna do something that is gonna cause a problem. But if you can reduce the number of impacts that the deer is making, the number of deer vehicle collisions, you know, the number of deer getting hit, reducing the impacts is the best way to put it. It isn't the number of deer, it's the number of impacts. So ultimately, like when you see native plant species being eaten away off our parkland and it's not being managed, that's a problem. But when you start to see them come back because there's less deer causing that damage, then you're having less of that impact. If that makes sense.
I had a question or two. You talked about, I think, I understood, you talked about the deer population overall, and then you talk about the culling or some way to control that population. How do you determine what's your deer population overall, and then how do you determine what is the right size of that deer population, which you solve for the delta?
So the DNR would tell you the number, it isn't about the number of deer. But as the city person that says, give me a number, I hear you. We did it by doing, it helped us understand, to prove to the city there's a lot of, the residents, there's a lot of deer. We did aerial deer counts. And we flew in a helicopter and we did it 7 times. We did it in 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20. There's that way. And we showed the number of deer based on the number of deer we saw in those aerial deer counts. We showed an increase over time. Or we had just an idea how many deer was out there, basically. The other way places have done it, you take specific areas and you could do drone surveys and say, okay, this area has this many deer in it, and that gives you, so based on deer per square mile, a lot of those numbers range between a healthy deer population, depending, it's hard to really say based on the environmental makeup of the area, but they typically will say 15 to 20 deer per square mile is a healthy number that you want to achieve. So if you were to ask me how do you get that number, I would do, if you had an area that you could do an aerial deer or a drone survey to give it an idea. So one year you said, okay, here's 80 deer in that area, and then the next year you could say there's 90 deer, there's 95. You would be able to start to track that data. And then deer vehicle collisions is another way to be able to tell the number of deer. You don't know you'll never know the population of deer in the community, even if you did an aerial deer count or a drone count. You'll never know that exact number because they're crossing over the borders. You don't know what time of year it is. Like right now, the deer yard up, so they may like in Farmington Hills, they may walk over to Southfield because they yard up and they get in groups of 80 to 100 deer, and they stay on that. So we could do an arrow deer count, and they're all in Southfield. Well, in the summertime, they're in Farmington Hills.
But then you would, if you take that 15 to 20 per square mile as your ideal thing, you look at the difference, and then that's how you start to understand you gotta have where it's located, it's what's the ecology, and all those other things that have to be adjusted. That's kind of the big picture.
Yeah.
Indeed. Go ahead.
What is the most universally impactful statistic you used to educate and inform the residents of your community to create an understanding that there's an issue?
Dumb that question out for me because I'm coming off of sickness. That's a great question.
Okay, guys, help me out. So, what we have to describe the issue on a fact basis, right? For people to be educated. You started out you began your presentation with a focus on education.
Yeah.
You need to educate people
Yeah.
about this. So it's a difficult conversation if it isn't fact-based
Yeah.
and it isn't educationally based. So I was looking for what's the most impactful data point or pattern or trend. I mean, I could presume it's the number of accidents with deer, but I don't know what I don't know. I'm just looking for a place for us to start from to talk about helping to describe the problem. I mean, people care if their hostas are eaten or not.
Yeah.
No offense to people that don't want their hostas eaten, but it doesn't justify culling the deer herd. It's got to be a bigger story than someone's landscaping they're unhappy about, because we're all responsible people and we have some responsibility ourselves to try to protect our landscaping to a certain extent. So
So
I'm
it's-
looking for something more impactful than
It's the
landscaping.
ecological impact of the deer. So whose responsibility is to manage the deer? So the message, I guess, to the public would be, one is there's living with deer. There's deer out there, and you're going to have your hostages eaten. I guess I don't understand what you're.
Okay, I got an idea, okay?
Yeah.
You said three things that I wrote that seem to be more than just, like you said, hosta eating. One, the total number of deer in the area per square mile. Now, you came up with that number, 15 to 20. So we'd have to determine, is that right? Is that the optimal amount? We'll say yeah, because you said so, okay? Two, vehicle deer crashes, that people get hurt, okay?
Well, I would think that's the greatest risk.
Could
but
be,
I don't-
okay. And the
I don't-
third one is deer ticks, a disease, okay? Okay, so if we were to determine, do we have more deer than 20, through drones or whatever, however you do it, do we have more than 15 to 20 deer per square mile? Are deer vehicle crashes a problem? Are there a lot of them? Or are they, we already heard from Nick Solvey, that the numbers, and they're climbing, okay? And is there a problem with deer ticks? And we were told by him there aren't. Not you, I'm sorry, by Nick.
The other person.
Okay, the
He's
other per-
talking about the other person.
Yeah, so, to me, that would be, those three areas, those would be a good place for us to start,
I
to
don't
see
know.
where we are.
I don't know.
That's what I'm thinking.
I don't know. I'm asking you as a subject matter expert, because this isn't why this group was put together. We were put together to talk about roads, and now we're talking about deer, and that's fine. But we need to be educated about this issue, and it can't be a sentinel event. It can't be one aerial view or one drone shot. We have to be able to show patterns and trends. So I was trying to find out what pattern and trend you're tracking that's the most important to the residents of Farmington Hills, about the deer population. What's mattered the most to them? That's what I was just trying to.
So we have a lot of phone. It started with a lot of phone calls from residents saying, "What are you going to do about the deer?" So then we started looking into it, and it got worse. And people said, "Okay, enough is enough. Like, I have lived here for 40 years, and I've never seen anything like this. This is ridiculous. Someone's got to do something. It's not right that I can't protect my lawn from, my grandkids can't play in the yard because there's feces all over the place. I don't feel it's right and safe. My dog can't be let out anymore because the deer won't run away, and it will stomp towards my dog, and it will, like," so they start to have a sense of fear. So now residents are saying, what are you gonna do? Help. Like, I can't do anything about it. I can't shoot them. I'm not allowed to do anything about it. So they're asking the city to fix it. Like, what can I do? So I think our responsibility is saying, okay, we understand now there's a lot of deer and it's gotten out of control because we've let it get out of control, and because the number of deer creates the number of impacts. So if we can reduce the number of deer, we have less of those impacts. There's less feces if there's less deer.
Yeah.
So ultimately, we've created the problem as cities by stopping the harvesting of deer to keep the population the way it should be, and that's why urban deer has become an issue. So now we have to fix that, and we can't say, "Oh, sorry about your dog died of Lyme disease." We've said it. I've had people call about deer vehicle collisions and said, "Hey, are you doing something about it? I nearly died," and I had a friend of mine whose son was against doing any kind of deer calling, and he was 100% against it. He called me up the other day and said, we were behind an accident, and the car was totaled. My son said, "Dad, I understand. I know why we got to do something about this." Like, it was, the kid went through a whole thing because this car was, it was a whole major accident, several vehicles because of a deer, and that's what's happening when we don't do anything about it. So if we can reduce the number of occurrences, I think, or you could sit back and do nothing, which either one is okay, but we have to live with if we do nothing, and that's our responsibility.
Who gets the call in Farmington Hills? Who gets the call, all this resident calling? Is there a central place where people can call about deer?
I was for many years. And then now we have like a line that they call and they leave a message, or they can do a email directly, so I don't have to physically do it anymore. But we've tracked thousands of calls and emails, and yeah.
That's a good start.
And I will say, oh, go ahead.
What's the University of Michigan Seas Project team have to do with this?
So they're master's students. Mike Cost is the professor, and he's worked with a lot of high-level projects through MSU and U of M, and we proposed the idea. Mike reached out to me and said, would you be interested in working on a project with urban deer? Some students want to do this. So we did that last December, was selected, and for the past year, we put together a lot of resources and information. They did a lot of research, saved me a lot of time, and there's going to be some good things coming out. January 29th at that meeting, they'll be presenting some of the stuff. They're presenting at the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Conference, the State Stewardship Conference in Lansing in January. So this team of 6 people have put this whole package that I'm referring to. They're going to be sort of starting to get out there in January.
So you're working with them? And that's part of the DNR team too as well?
They're
separate?
That's separate.
Okay.
So they're working with the Southeast Michigan Urban Deer Coalition.
Interesting.
Is there a difference in safety between sharpshooters and organized hunts?
Sharpshooters are done with guns, and they use thermal imaging or night vision that allow them to see if there's any kind of danger in the area. So when they go to take a shot, they can actually see if there's something around. They're usually elevated, shooting at a downward angle. They, when they do a shot, they shoot the deer basically in the neck, and it drops instantly. Where archery is more of, again, it's an elevated platform used with a bow or a crossbow. and it's shot at a certain distance to be successful so the deer doesn't run. So it's a lot easier with the gun to be able to shoot and hit multiple deer, but with the bow you have to be more quiet. It's during the daytime. Sharpshooting is at night with thermal imaging, and it's that's the differences.
I apologize. Have there been any adverse damage? The bullet goes too, goes far and causes damage to some property?
No, it drops down, so it doesn't continue to go. That's the design. So it's with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, so they've done this across the country. They trained, and so no, it's not a concern.
Different.
It's always a question.
Different topic. We're getting going. Are there any other communities in southeast Michigan that are like us that are starting to? You've got Farmington Hills, and Southfield are ahead of us. Are there others that are in our situation starting to get going?
Yeah. So I don't know if Susan, if you want to have somebody from this committee on that coalition, I think it'd be a good idea. But the coalition, the Southeast Michigan Urban Deer Coalition, you'll see several cities in your same situation. And that's why we created the statewide urban deer management plan that shows the phases of where you're going to be as a city. And you're going to see, and we're going to be able to start to identify, hey, there's 10 communities that are in that phase right now. There's 10 in this phase. There's 10 in that phase. So we're in the phase 3 portion of it because we started to do management. And you guys would be in the phase 1 portion because you're in the beginning part of it. Starting to think about phase 2 would be making decisions on, are we going to do something, are we not, in terms of an actual management program, and not just educating people about landscape and that kind of thing.
I got a question. I call it the elevator conversation, where you're standing next to someone in the elevator and you've got 30 seconds to respond to. And how would you describe, this is a great presentation, a lot of information, how would you succinctly tell somebody why we should manage deer population?
It's our responsibility. Who's going to do it if we don't do it? It's needed. If we don't do it, there's going to be impacts on the deer, the environment, and people. So everything needs to be managed to a healthy level. And the responsibility of deer management is on us to be able to, what is that healthy level? And when something goes unmanaged, we have problems. And we've let something go unmanaged. So now's the time we need to manage it and get it back to a healthy herd. And you're seeing that across the state of Michigan. If you've been keeping track of wildlife management in the state, deer is a major problem right now because it's not been managed well.
How did you determine that 15 to 20 deer per square mile is the correct number?
Because that's what experts say. And I would say biologists, that's a number that you're going to see.
So you didn't just pull it out of the air?
No, it's not
You
me
guys-
coming up with that. It's they say 15 to 20 deer per square mile is a help. So you got to think about how many. What's the landscape of the? So is it all a very dense area? Is it a rural area? Like it depends on what is in that area. If it's all pine trees, what is there for deer to eat in that area? If it's all an ag field and you don't care about the crops, like how many can that hold safely where it's safe for the deer, safe for the environment? So the number depends on the type of the environment, but that's an average number.
Can I ask one more
Mindy,
quick
go ahead.
question? So quickly, forgive me, I don't remember how many years you've been involved in this, 10, 12, how long? Long time, right?
Since 2014.
Okay. Well, can you point to one thing that was the tipping point in your community to have a coordinated, full-fledged approach versus not? Or was it a culmination of things? Was there any sentinel event that happened, any big thing that happened, or was it just time?
To
Get you to a tipping point to then put this
say, let's do
robust
it?
program, right?
It was fear of our elected officials having to make the decision to do something. And our city manager didn't, they didn't want to bring that decision to the table to say, okay, let's do a deer call. Is that what you're?
I don't know, maybe.
So the reason, why, are you saying why didn't something
How
happen
did
before?
something happen? No,
I think,
I mean,
I think what she's trying to get, and correct me if I'm wrong.
go ahead, Dr.
She's trying to say is, was there some event that people rallied around or into to say, okay, we really have to do something? Or did they just go along with what the committee was kind of?
No, there's pressure from the community. So we started getting those phone calls in 2014, more and more and more, and people were fed up saying, what are you gonna do? Enough is enough. It's been 5 years now, you've done nothing. Like, so over time, people got to that point, and then our council kept hearing it every year, like, and then they would put on their goal session, like, okay, we're gonna do something about the deer.
Right.
But they never wanted to bring it to the table to say, okay, we're gonna do a deer call. But our current mayor said, you know what? We're gonna address this item, we're gonna make a decision. Are we gonna do it or are we not gonna do it? And then that was a tough thing for our council to face. Because at that point, they had to decide and stick their necks out there because nobody in Southeast Michigan had done it yet to vote on if they're gonna do this or not.
okay.
So to make it easier on them, the goal was to create a regional approach to be Farmington, Farmington Hills, and Southfield to do it all at one time. And if
Oh, I
everybody
see.
agreed to do it, it wouldn't be one city sticking their neck out
Oh,
there.
I
It'd be,
see.
you know, we all believe we should manage deer. And when that happened, it became successful, and it wasn't just one city. It was a lot of pressure on them to do that. But again, the pressure there, I think, helps alleviate the pressure from you guys having to say, to be the first ones to say, hey, we're gonna try this, and now everybody's gonna, the Humane Society and everybody else is gonna come at you. So it should be easier now that we've gotten past that point.
Okay. All right, I think we have two more items
Yep.
that we have to move on to, so I want to thank you this was really informative. This was really good. Thank you
Thanks.
very, very much.
All right, thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
Excellent.
next
Thank
thing.
you.
Well done.
Yeah, that's really good. Is the mission statement. You have that in front of you. Let's start there. Anybody have anything they want to change on there? Anything they don't like? Everything they love? Whatever. Okay, I don't see anything.
You want a motion to adopt it?
Yeah.
I would
Well,
so
I don't see
move.
any. I don't see any.
I would so move to adopt.
Can I ask
the-
you a question? Oh, go ahead and make a motion.
You can do that.
We can discuss.
No, ask your
We
question
have to
first.
make a motion then discuss, don't we?
Yeah, we do. But you want to ask a question? Go ahead.
Interesting, do we have and I'm ignorant about township, do we have a central depository of people, all the deer complaint coming in and kind of tracking how many complaints came over the years? I mean, the gentleman said something and it triggered my thought that maybe that can help us in our mission.
Okay. Do we have it? Do you have these recorded? Do you keep
I
these?
have an Excel spreadsheet of people who have called.
Okay, well, that would be effective once we set the mission that when we're doing our research, are they growing, are we getting a lot of calls? Okay. So.
I would
think
so move that the mission statement as circulated in our agenda packet be adopted by this committee.
Could I ask a question? I'm sorry.
Well, first,
I know it's
now he's made the
been
motion, we have to either second it.
Okay.
You can, we'll come back,
Fine.
that's fine.
Go ahead.
Is there a second for that motion?
Second.
Move the second, now discussion.
Okay.
That's how it works.
I just want, maybe this is a nuance to all of you, I don't know. But I think we want to be clear, and as I read this, I was trying to figure this out. So if someone could help me understand, I'd appreciate it. Are we saying we have a program, or we're investigating a program?
Problem or program?
No, this says the program. This basically, unless I'm reading it the wrong way, it says we have a program. Not, our principal goal is to achieve what, we agree with these statements, yes. Then it says, Mike McCready, Mr. McCready, help me. The advisory committee is committed to providing with law enforcement, yes. Our principal goal is to ensure a safe, yes. The program seeks to reduce. So that's saying, don't we want to say we're going to design a program? We don't have a program, do we? Isn't
No,
that why
but
we're
that-
meeting,
no,
is to have a
We
program?
could say the committee seeks to reduce.
Isn't that what we want? We want to
Well-
develop a
Well,
program,
yes, but we could say the committee seeks to reduce deer vehicle
right?
collisions, right?
Don't you think? I
Yeah,
think
sure,
so. I
yeah.
think we need to just define our role a little bit more,
Yeah,
Mr.
because we don't have
Chairperson.
a program at this point.
Where are you on this?
She's on
She's
the
on the-
third to last sentence,
Third to last line.
last
No,
line,
I'm
thank you.
saying, you guys, I
Thank
don't
you.
mean to wordsmith it.
No,
but
it's
I-
okay.
Okay.
That's true.
I'll work on it.
Can you do that? I'm not trying to, what I'm trying to do is
No,
prepare
I-
for the
Why
future.
can't we just amend the language here and be
Right,
done
let's
with
do
Sure,
it?
go
that right
ahead.
now.
Why don't, go ahead.
we don't
Okay,
need
I'm
to
sorry,
bring it back.
point to me where you look.
The
where you-
program seeks to
Okay.
reduce. I think we want to say the program will. I mean, we don't have a program yet.
A program seeks to
Okay,
reduce.
okay, that's good.
Okay,
Can we change that?
yeah,
A program seeks to reduce. Thank you,
That's
Mr.
good.
McCready.
Okay, does it make a
I don't
motion?
mean to be.
Wait,
I'm not-
wait.
Okay,
You're gonna
sorry.
say a program seeks to reduce, or the program seeks to reduce?
Well, we don't
We
have a
don't-
program.
we don't have a
Exactly.
program.
So, but a program.
right, that's what she's
Right,
saying,
that's what
exactly.
So you're
saying.
you're gonna wipe out the the and go with a.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so.
All right, now,
And that's
you
your,
do,
and that's what you want?
Jeff, you can change your motion.
I can
Friendly-
second that.
Okay, as a maker of the motion, I
Now we're
agree, I agree to
now
that.
we're making it.
Okay,
Just teasing.
the motion's been
Right.
changed
Helpful.
to say a program rather than the program,
Right.
okay?
Yeah.
So that's the motion that's been changed.
Okay,
It's on the
sure.
floor, it's been seconded.
And it speaks English.
Discussion on the motion.
Yeah, would it be helpful to just delete the term program? I see the word twice in this statement. On the very first line, the very first top, it says Deer Management Program Advisory.
Advisory.
Can we, but drop the word program?
Yeah, right, yes.
I think so.
And then
Don't you think so?
second at
Yeah.
the end,
Yes.
toward the end,
Yes,
drop the word
I
program.
think so.
And then
It takes care of
it
itself.
still gets
Yeah.
us where we want to be.
Yes.
Well, they said it was
Be
a
the
program advisory group, that's why we wrote that. Anyway, I have no objection to that at all.
Okay.
All right.
If we can have a mission statement after 7 weeks, I think that's a good idea.
And then-
Is
and
that
then
all right,
it-
Jeff?
The motion now
You
deletes
supported
the
the
word
motion.
program
It's so
twice, and you support
Okay.
it, you agree.
So it's been amended, and it's been supported, moving forward, it's amended. So I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's that. The last thing I want to get to, we don't have anybody here, public comment, so I don't have to worry about that. But items not on the agenda, Jeff brought up something about our future. He gave you a sheet.
You gotta hand it out.
Oh, okay, all right, I want you to, here. Here, take one and pass it down. And this is a guide to, for the road commission, the road advisory committee to move forward on and what areas we should be looking at. So what I'd like to do, Jeff, do you want to talk about it? or
Yeah, what I was thinking based on our last meeting is this is just a handout for tonight. At our next meeting, we will talk about it. So we're not looking for dialogue and discussion, because I did try to spring something on you at the last minute. But what I was trying to do is like we did on our phase one, where we talked about, trying to kind of organize what we were doing, and we would break into subcommittees and work on the various pieces and bring it back together. I think we're at the same situation here, and what I'm suggesting, and this is only a suggestion that's open for everybody's input, is that we kind of say, okay, what are the 3 or 4 options that we're looking for?
I think that's on
And then
this one.
once we have some consensus and understanding on what those are, we can then break it into subcommittees
He's
like
looking
we
at a
did last
different- is
time.
he looking at this
And then
sheet?
explore those.
Okay, just time out.
Yeah.
Do we,
It's different than
it's
this.
a different sheet. That's this one, right? Are you talking about this one?
No, I'm talking about this.
You're looking at this, right?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay, my mistake. I'm sorry, I
this,
apologize.
this,
I apologize.
phase 2.
My mistake.
yeah. Phase two,
Okay.
it says phase 2 at the top. So this is just a handout for us to talk at the next meeting.
Got it.
To begin the
Take home with
thought
us.
process.
What, my issue is, and I've been trying to follow this in the news, which I know is probably a horrible thing to do. I can't make heads or tails about where we are funding-wise in Lansing. Because one time you read it and it says we're gonna give away, we have all this money, not give away, we have all this money available. And then the next time you read it, it says, oh, there's no money available. It's all gonna go to the county. And then I think before we start doing things like, such as Jeff pointed out here, it would be good to get a lecture on where in the heck we are with the funding, because that is the essence of what we would be recommending going down the road. And I'm confused by the whole.
And my conversations with the road commission have been, they have not been, it's not been confirmed by the treasury exactly what they're getting yet and how they're getting it. So it's still being.
But it is confirmed that it's going to the
Road
county.
commission.
Road
Yeah.
commission, county road
Right.
commission.
Some amount.
Unless you're a city or village.
See, what I'm suggesting here is that's number two.
Right, I was gonna say, that's,
Okay.
yeah.
However, there might be some other ideas that we want to explore. And that's like the other ideas that I've listed, and we may want to eliminate some of them.
This is a good article to read.
So, you know.
But
so
if
the
you
idea
remember,
is-
sorry Jeff, but if you remember when
Oh,
Gary
this is
Petrovich
46
was here from the road commission, I think he mentioned it in his conversation with us, but I know I've had conversation with him. Their goal with this money is to participate in SADs going forward. That was that's what their thinking is.
This is additional money
So, anyway, this is just as a discussion item for next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, but what you're talking about is only one portion of the things that we need to look at. We need to look at a lot of other things that Jeff has pointed out here. For instance, how does millage work? How does Headley work? Becoming a city rather than a township. There's other things other than just that one thing about how's the money coming out of Lansing on this new road thing. So I think this is a good roadmap. I really do. We'll talk about it in depth next time, right, Jeff?
Yeah.
That we want to do? Because the next will be a road meeting, not a deer.
And if we have ideas for additional things, we send those to Susan to add to this
Yeah, I think
list?
maybe that'd be a great idea,
Okay.
that Susan can work on the operating draft, so we'll come to the meeting, we'll have that.
$45 million, I don't know where it came from.
And, we can delete items, there's nothing magical here.
Okay, when is our next meeting?
Change, you have anything on there you want to add?
2 weeks.
Like,
It's a road meeting.
And the question is, what time is our meeting?
So far, 4:30.
4 o'clock.
4
We're
o'clock.
going to start meeting, if that's what we voted on the last time.
4 o'clock?
4
Last
o'clock.
time we
But the
voted.
calendar hasn't been
4 to
changed
5,
yet.
4 to 5:30.
Okay, okay.
In 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Right.
4 to 5:30.
And what happens after what we just talked about? Now what do we do?
What do you mean?
All this stuff, deer.
You're
It's
gonna be in
in 4
charge
weeks.
of the deer.
No, I'm not in charge of the deer.
Yeah,
Trying
you're
to-
Heard the deer.
You know
Heard the
what?
deer, you're gonna hear them.
Yeah,
It's a new year.
35%.
No, we
New
have to,
attitudes, it's a new year.
Heard the cats,
One for
heard the
all and
deer.
all for one.
Okay. What do you mean, what do we?
Well, I mean, do we have next steps on today? What, are we done with today on deer?
Today we are.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah,
Okay,
we've
great.
done everything today. That's
Okay,
correct.
That's great.
Right.
Glad
But the
we did it.
thinking is if we go 4 to 5:30, we'll spend the first hour on the roads and the last half hour on deer.
Oh,
That's the thinking, so
Oh.
we're
talked about.
expanding our meeting time. My thought was expand our meeting time so we have a chance to do
This is gonna get very
it. And then if that doesn't work, we can change something else.
Right, we're going to try that.
we're gonna try it once.
Yeah,
Yeah,
See
we're
what
just gonna
happens.
try.
maybe more than
Okay.
once.
We have a
Dip our toes in the water.
Well, the deer thing is kind of,
Especially in the spring and summer.
this stuff is more, I think, germane to what we're supposed to be doing. I
which
guess.
thing? I'm sorry.
Which one?
The road thing?
The treatise by Jeff.
Yes.
Well,
Well,
that's on the roads, though.
That's on the roads,
On roads.
that's right, so.
there's just a lot of conversation now about the deer. And that's why, I don't mean in this room. I mean out
Outside,
there.
well, that's what we're
Right.
doing. That's exactly right, right?
So I
A
was
lot of
just asking-
conversation, and we're going to
Right.
move on to the next steps,
Okay,
the next steps on the deer thing.
okay,
Half an hour in the next meeting.
okay.
And we're going to let you know when that is, so you don't have to come to the whole meeting. You can come just to the deer portion, right? If you're in town.
He wants to talk about deer, he's not interested in roads.
But that may not work. We talked about that.
Yeah.
It may not be enough. We may have to say, now we're gonna have to meet 1 hour on road, but then a full hour on deer, because, on another meeting.
Okay.
Okay, because this group decided
We're
to take on
finding
the
our
deer
way.
thing.
For this lovely gentleman right here, is he putting the stuff up on the website or not?
Yeah,
I thought you're going to take our revised statement and then put it up?
yeah, the mission statement?
I don't know, I'm asking.
Yeah, we'll meet with Greg in the next week or so and get something going.
Yeah, I mean, like I would put it, I operate at the discretion of my department head or the supervisor, so.
Oh,
As we all.
Yeah, we'll get something, make it up and active now
Okay.
that we've made a step forward.
Okay.
But
That's right.
If this was a
Right.
green light, I'll.
Right,
Yeah.
but it was a lot to ask this committee to take on the
Apparently
deer
we got
issue, and you can tell we're trying to work our way through and
Yes.
find our way.
yeah,
All right,
thank you.
all right, anything else?
But the only thing I would say, at our
Jeff.
next meeting, we ought to talk about how we proceed on the deer thing. We can do another outline like this we're doing for roads, we can create subcommittees. That ought to be the discussion for next.
I will volunteer to put together a map of what we need to do with the deer thing.
Great.
And then you can.
Sold.
You can butcher it, shoot it, cull it, whatever you want to do, but it'll,
Call
The
it?
proposal.
cull the proposal. Kind of break it down.
Good
idea.
luck with
That's
that.
good.
I can't wait to read it. This is awesome.
It'll be the greatest piece of literature you ever read.
I'm gonna wait for it to come out in a movie, so.
We're not going to do this, we're not going to do that.
Motion
Okay.
to adjourn.
Done.
No, that's
Thank
just,
you.
I'm just doing it to give people a backbone.
Thank you all very much. Good meeting.
backbone to
Very
what we're
good.
doing.
Thank you.